guys, what is up and welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. In the last episode, we started cross-examining Shelley to Killer, of all people, but we're cross-examining him in a very weird way. Obviously through this weird remote, thing, walkie-talkie, rather. And he's got a lot of contradictions in his testimony because he's lying. He's completely lying. He keeps saying that his client is Adrian Andrews when it is actually Matt on guard, and we know that we're really just trying to drag out this trial for as long as we can until someone gets here with that evidence. So, let's get going. But didn't you just say that you always meet your clients? Yes, I suppose I did say that. However, there are some clients for whom a meeting is simply not possible. But didn't you meet your client this time? No, I did not. Oh, come now. Let's stop with this game of cat and mouse. Using your silkiest voice isn't going to work on me. Alright then, and just cough it up and confess. Mr. Wright, you can't batter a witness with such harsh words. You're a lawyer, so behave like one and present evidence instead of mindlessly yelling. Now then, do you have any proof that Mr. DeKiller met with his client? Shit. Do I? Skibbity-doo-dah. I don't know. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I don't have any proof. I see. Then your line of questioning was just another waste of time. Sadly for us, Your Honor, that is the nature of right and wrong. Because right is wrong. Right is wrong. And why could you not meet with certain clients? Recently, I have been receiving more requests. If I met each and every client, I would lose some nice business opportunities. Nice business opportunities? On top of which the times have changed. It is now the age of information and computers, correct? Well, I have joined the times and now take requests via electronic mail. Electronic mail? Do you have to mail that in a special insulated envelope? What? I'm very sorry. I despise the shortening of words. What I meant by electronic mail is what is commonly referred to as email. Email? In a contest of mimicry, the judge would beat a parrot, hands down. Email? Anyway, so you took this job without having met your client, and... 2 or 3 other things? Yes. And what were these other things? A few other things that have nothing to do with this case. What should I do? Should I let him slide with that? It'd be really bad if I push his buttons the wrong way and he gets mad. Whether or not they're related to this case is for the court to decide. Mr. Attorney. Yes? Everything I have said from the beginning has been nothing but beneficial to your client. Which is why I wonder what is pushing you to continue with this cross-examination. Could it be that you are planning to betray your own client? That's... I smell the stench of a backstabber. And should you turn out to be one... Wait! Uh-oh. This is looking really bad. I shouldn't press my luck. Alright, I have to think. Is this worth pursuing? Witness, this is a very important matter. Please cooperate and tell us what these other jobs your client requested were. If it's truly that important, I suppose I don't have much of a choice. The bear figurine. The bear figurine? After the assassination of the target, I was to find that figurine. I was told that this job was just as important as the actual killing. And? Where was that figurine? It was inside Mr. Corrida's suitcase. And then, what did you do next? I handed it over to my client right away. You gave it to your client? Interesting. This information certainly sounds important to me. Witness, please include what you just stated in your testimony. As you wish. One of these was to find the bear figurine and to give it to Adrian Andrews. But it was found at On Guard's mansion, and it's not on there anymore. I found this figurine at Mr. On Guard's mansion. If you gave it to Miss Andrews, then what was it doing there? I was waiting for her there. And that was also part of the plan to frame Mr. On Guard, I'm sure. That makes a lot of sense. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any problems with this piece of testimony? So the killer says he gave the figurine to Miss Andrews. But I know somewhere in that statement there is a contradiction. And yet, I know that if I present something trivial here, he will cut the connection on his end. If you want to make a strong point, Phoenix, you have to present strong evidence. She's right. So now what, Dr. Wright? I don't know what strong evidence I don't fucking know. Camera. Figurine. I don't know. Witness, let's go over this one more time. You gave Miss Andrews the bear figurine, and she told you to take the bear and wait for her at On Guard Mansion. Is that correct? Yes. Where are you going with this? Well, I think maybe you might have remembered a few things incorrectly. What? This is a battle of wits. I can't let up on him. I don't think it is possible for Miss Andrews to have been the recipient of this bear. Frick, man, I don't know. Fucking... Shelley the Killer. If you had really given the bear to Miss Andrews, then this item should not have been inside it. This item? I see where you're going. Yep, that's where I'm going. Where is everyone going? Do I need to pack a suitcase? Your Honor, please think back to Miss Andrews' testimony. And I was going to burn it, for her sake. Even if for a single minute, this bear had actually been in Miss Andrews' hands, I'm sure she would have taken out the suicide note and burned it. God damn it. Order. So that's where you two were going. So by the very fact that this suicide note was still inside the bear, tells us that your client didn't know how to disassemble the puzzle. Which means... It means, Your Honor, that it is impossible for Adrian Andrews to be the client. Oh! Order! Mr. Phoenix, Wright. I'm sure I mentioned this before. How I hate traitors above all else. I think your cross-examination has clearly demonstrated something to me. You must wish to break your end of our agreement. No, that's not... That's enough! If that is your only intention, then there is only one thing left for me to do. Wait, please! Gentlemen, ladies, please excuse me. I have a matter that I must attend to. No! Please! Not that! Please wait! Mr. Attorney, bring this trial to a speedy end, and I may stay my hand, otherwise... What in the... Mr. Wright, are you... Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor? I didn't understand this witness's outburst just now. Do you think there is a need to hear more testimony, or do you think this is enough? Well, we should... Edgeworth, we can't do this. If we keep this up, Maya, she'll... The prosecution... What has come over everyone? Even you, or... The prosecution... rests. What is going on around here? The prosecution has no further questions, Your Honor. What? Oh my god. Well, I never thought I'd see the day. This is a most unusual situation. If the prosecution rests with no further questions, then the prosecution has failed to uphold its stance. If that is the case, then even though I am reluctant, I must believe that Mr. Tequila's testimony is accurate. That would mean that Shelley Tequila's client is Adrian Andrews. Mr. Wright, Yes, Your Honor? If I end the trial here right now, then your client Matt on guard will be declared innocent, and in his place, Adrian Andrews will be charged with murder. Miss Andrews would be charged with murder? The prosecution has no further questions, so we will now hear the defense's final remarks. Bailiff, please bring the defendant Matt on guard to the stand. The items from the killer's hideout didn't make it in time. We tried as hard as we could, but it looks like our time has run out. I can't believe it. The outcome now lies in your hands. Dude, did the old guy finally decide? To be honest, I can't think of you as a truly good, innocent, and good person. You have done enough evil to drive a woman to suicide. But, at least on the charge of murder, it would appear you are innocent. Ha! Frick off! Oh my god. So, I guess even the old fuddy-duddy figure me- Shut up! Mr. On Guard, you were atrocious as a lawyer, weren't you? Giving your client away like this. And that refreshing like a spring breeze crap? It's just as atrocious, don't you agree? Anyway, get on with it and pronounce me innocent already. Right, Mr. Lawyer? Frick off, On Guard. Should I side with justice? Or should I save Maya's life?
You better get on guard a guilty sentence, okay?
But if I did that, Maya will die. But if I say he's innocent, then Miss Andrews will be charged as the murderer. Do I say he's guilty or not guilty? Either choice I make, someone's life is going to end. It all hinges on what I choose. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear the defense's final statements on this matter. If the person who hired the assassin was Adrian Andrews, then your client, Mr. Matt on Guard, is innocent. There's no need to ask, old man. After all, my lawyer is gonna say what I want, aren't you? Right. I can't do this. But I have to decide something. I can't count on the evidence to help me anymore. I have to listen to my heart. My client, Matt on Guard, is... No! I've said this a million times before. Don't make me choose. You're making me choose. I hate this. I hate this game. But I love this case. Maya. We are waiting for your answer, Mr. Wright. Matt on Guard, your client deserves an answer. Maya, I'm sorry. Matt on Guard is... Here she is! Francisco von Karma! What are you doing? Ow! You see now, don't you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? This is exactly why you should never take your eyes off of that scruffy fool. Did you bring them? The final pieces, do you have them? You should know better than to ask that, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. Von Karma is perfect in every way. The evidence is here in perfect condition. Don't worry about Scruffy. He's fine, and his injuries are minor. All of the items are inside this. What a filthy old coat this is! That's Gumshoes. I could spot his tattered rags anywhere. I apologize for its ugliness, but there was nothing else to wrap the items in. I fought long and hard this whole trial, all for what is inside that raggedy coat. I'm sure that inside that coat lies a crucial piece of evidence. Your Honor, inside that filthy coat are the defense's final pieces of evidence. Your final evidence?
Ebenezer.
This trial is already over. All that remains is for me to hand down my verdict. I do not believe that any evidence presented now would change the outcome of this trial. What? Your Honor, it is our duty to examine every piece of evidence, down to the last. I request that Miss Von Karma be allowed to present these pieces of evidence. I suppose you are right, Mr. Edgeworth. I grant you permission to do so. However, this one obvious rule applies here. If these items do not bring up any new points, then they will be not accepted by this court. Now, Miss Von Karma, if you please.
These pieces of evidence are items left behind by DeKiller during his escape from the police.
He must have been in quite a rush.
Yes, Your Honor. DeKiller left 3 pieces of evidence.
Somewhere among the evidence we're about to see, there will be something that will turn this whole situation around, like a miracle. I'm sure of it.
That is all we can hope for. The first item is a pistol.
Does DeKiller's pistol have anything to do with this case? Why not? Does that pistol have any relation to this case?
We have yet to perform a ballistics test, so I can't say anything for certain. However, I believe it has something to do with this case, at least to me.
That's the pistol that he used to shoot you, isn't it?
That's what I believe, yes.
Oh.
I kept the bullet they removed from my shoulder as a sort of memento. I'm sure it will be an excellent sample for the test.
So that's the pistol that was used to shoot Francisca. It's probably not going to help us very much.
Okay, what else you got? The second piece of evidence is this videotape.
I bet DeKiller took that from On Guard Mansion. Have you checked the contents of that tape?
Unfortunately, there was no time to.
Oh yeah.
But I would speculate that this tape is very important.
Why would you say that?
Because he came back to his hideout for it.
DeKiller went back for it?
That's right. It looks like he was trying to recover it. He injured 3 of the officers at the site. But somehow, it looks like they managed to protect it from DeKiller. Shelley DeKiller is no ordinary man. The last piece of evidence is this bellboy's uniform.
Is that a uniform from the Gatewater Hotel? I mean, yeah, of course it is. Was that used during the crime?
I am almost certain it was. There's even a pair of black leather gloves in one of the pockets.
There's no doubt about it. DeKiller was wearing this on the night of the murder.
There is one thing I found interesting about this uniform.
And what is that?
There is a button missing on this uniform.
A button?
It's a very unique button. I'm sure if we were to recover it, it would provide us with an interesting clue. That is all I have to present, Your Honor.
It's just as I thought. And? What is that, Your Honor? I'm sure, were we under normal circumstances, these items from Shelley DeKiller's hideout would be very important clues. However, our question is not who did the killing, it is who is the client. Yes, that is correct. And these 3 items do not tell us anything about that. Thank you for your hard work, Miss Von Karma. You may step down now. Wait, Your Honor. Please, allow me to examine this new evidence. Overruled. This court already has all the evidence it needs to hand down a verdict. Wonderful, absolutely splendid. This judge is such a brilliant man, isn't he? Is this the end?
Phoenix.
I knew it. There's no such thing as a miracle in this world, is there?
I think you're wrong. I think they do exist. But you have to make that miracle happen. You've come this far. You can't give up now.
But no matter how you think about it, it's...
Try. For my sake. Just think about it for a second. There are 2 ways out of the situation for us.
2?
The first... Make Ungard wish from the bottom of his soul for a guilty verdict.
Huh?
DeKiller will always place first. DeKiller will always place his client's wishes first. If Ungard himself wishes to be convicted, then he will let his hostage go.
That may be true, but that's asking me to do the impossible.
The second way, Forced DeKiller to end his contract with On Guard. If DeKiller were to no longer think of On Guard as his client, then he would let Maya go. Mia, that's even more impossible! He is a man who values his duty towards his clients above all else! I know both of these seem like impossible feats at first, but if you could make either one happen, it would truly be a miracle. The bigger problem is, the judge has already said he doesn't need any more evidence. The pieces he was just shown, he's not accepting them. Phoenix, think things through from the other side. Isn't that what has always worked for us? The other side? Wait, does she mean... You mean to turn things around? Like in a grand turnabout? Phoenix, the judge says he doesn't need the evidence. If that's the case, then who does need it? The person who needs the evidence. The defense, prosecution, and the judge, we have all seen the pieces of evidence, and that is how we have come to know the truth. But there are people who have not seen them all, and those people do not know the truth. That truth, it may be what will bring about the miracle in the end. There are no objections this time, correct? Now then, I will pronounce my verdict. Why don't we all respectfully sit back and listen, kids? Frick that! Objection! I have already told you, Mr. Wright, this court does not need any more evidence. I am not saying it is us that needs the evidence, Your Honor. Then you want to show the evidence to that person? Yes, Your Honor. Please, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, for you to ask with such passion, I will grant you one chance. One chance? Please show your evidence to who you think is the right person. That's impossible, to turn the situation around in one try. One try, that is all I will permit. I have to try to remember. Everything that happened up to this point. Think, Phoenix, think. There must be a way to save Maya while taking On Guard down at the same time. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's not waste any more time. Who would you like to show the evidence to? Shelley DeKiller, perhaps? I see. And now, tell this court what one piece of evidence you would like to show to this person. Well, what do you think, Mr. Edgeworth? I think there is some merit in showing this evidence to that witness. Bailiff, please bring in the transceiver from earlier. All right! Looks like they got a hold of him. Maya, she's okay, right? Didn't I tell you to concern yourself with bringing about a speedy end to this trial? Now, if I understand correctly, you wish to show me one piece of evidence? Yes, one is all I need. I have here a videotape. It was found at your hideout. I heard you injured the officers, 3 officers in your attempt to get this back. That was most regrettable. However, it was an order from my client. I was told to protect that videotape. I thought so. I'm afraid I seem to have failed in that regard. Do you know the contents of this tape? I was sternly told by my client not to watch it, so I have absolutely no idea. Actually, you are on this tape. Me? There was a video camera hidden at the crime scene. Your actions were being recorded. What? Is that true, Mr. Wright? Who was it that planted a camera? Well, the only person who could have placed a camera at the scene of the crime would be your client, naturally. That was Adrian Andrews. Be quiet and listen, Your Honor. Yes, sir. Your client specified a place and time for you, isn't that right? Yes. That was so they could film you. I had no idea. Mr. Wright, why would my client do such a thing? I would like to know why. Why did Matt on Guard film the crime scene? The reason why he did that is my ticket out of this whole mess. There is only one reason why your client would secretly film the crime scene. Your client once told me something very interesting. We were talking about you, and this is what they said. But I'm no weakling. I don't believe anyone. Least of all, assassins. Oh, come now, Mr. Wright. Assassins aren't above blackmail. Yes, that's where the video comes in. With that, I can keep him at bay and even blackmail him if I want. Your client didn't trust you at all. They were thinking of using this video to blackmail you. What do you have to say to that, Shelley the Killer? Yeah. Oh-ho! It looks like I was being deceived from the very beginning. Yes, by a natural. That is the kind of person they are. Your client is a person who only thinks and plots of how to use the people around him. To protect himself. I already know it's Matt, I'm using the wrong pronouns. To protect themselves from any and all dangers that may arise. That is the true nature of your client. I have one question for the witness. Yes? You told us one thing numerous times in your testimony. You said that you detest traitors most of all. Yes, that's right. But what if that traitor was your own client? What would you do then? That's obvious. I would break our contract in that case. And then, that client would become my next target. For the honor of the killer name, even if it takes an eternity, I would follow that person to the ends of the earth to exact my punishment. The red screen always scares me. I see. That's all I wanted to know. So the traitor becomes the killer's next target. I get it. This is how we'll turn this case around. Mr. Wright. Yes? My contract with my client is over as of now. I seem to have a new job in my hands. I will now return to you, your precious item. What the? Hey, I'm not an item! Maya, I thought I'd never see you again. Oh, thank goodness! This trial appears to have come to its conclusion. However, I'm sort of... I don't quite know what just happened there with the client and the witness and... Miss Von Karma, where did that... She's not here. She always has you in her sights. Now, I do believe it's time to finally hand down a verdict. Oh, look at you now, Mr. On Guard. It looks like somehow you got what you wanted. You will finally receive the acquittal you wanted so badly. You should be happy. But before that, I would like to make one final statement. Sometime in the near future, one very betrayed assassin may appear before you. Needless to say, that man is very good at what he does. I'm sure you would understand what I mean if you watch this video. Help me! Now then, Your Honor, the verdict, if you please. Is this all right with you, Mr. Wright? We have finally reached the end of a very long battle. Whether he is convicted or acquitted, there is no escape for him now. Go on, Phoenix. Plead whichever way your heart tells you. Right, Chief? We gotta plead not guilty. We gotta torture this guy a little more. Congratulations, Mr. Mad on Guard. Please make sure to savor every moment of what little time you have left. Your Honor, as always, the defense pleads not guilty. Very well. This court finds the defendant, Matt on Guard. Hold it! Please, wait. What's the matter? If I get a not guilty, I'll be killed. I'm No! Guilty, 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 guilty! As always, it looks like we have uncovered the real truth. We? I don't remember you helping out much in this. Mr. Edgeworth, how is Matongod? I have left Miss Von Karma in charge of his incarceration. Oh no. I'm sure he's getting a full course meal of whip leather right about now. Very good. That was a close one, wasn't it, witness? Yes. I plan to pay my debt to society for my own crime, Your Honor. This trial was the first time I had stood on the witness stand. And when I did, I really felt hopeless. She must be talking about the time Edgeworth really went after her. I guess she's trying to forgive him for what he did, sorry. This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. If you're going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me. I still don't get why the fuck he did that. But after that, when I was alone at the detention center, that's the first time I really saw myself and who I am. And today, when the two of you used your combined strength to convict Matt, I felt like I had finally been saved. Wow, this is the first time I've ever seen her smile. I am really happy that you two were in charge of this case. I really don't know how to express how I feel at this moment. This is the first time I felt comfortable with myself, with who I am. Thank you so much, everyone! It looks like we have resolved everything at last. As for myself, there are still a few things I'm confused about. But everyone seems to be in good spirits. And that is good enough for me. That is all. This court is adjourned. And that's where we're gonna end the episode for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Join me next time for the ending credits. Roll the end card.
Objection! You haven't hit like and subscribe yet! Hold it! You forgot to ring the bell to get notified whenever I upload! Take that! Click here to watch more of my videos! Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye!